The podcast with Mr. Pancakes.
Welcome back to our deep dive into nonviolent communication.
You know how, like,
Do you remember?
yeah, picking up where we left off with NBC?
Exactly. We're going even deeper into nonviolent communication.
It's like learning the grammar of Giraffe.
We learn to speak Giraffe, right? The language of empathy and needs instead of Jackal,
Right.
which is all blame and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going even deeper.
Exactly. And this,
Like learning the
Wow.
grammar of giraffe, so we're going to be focusing on...
I love that analogy.
It's
Yeah.
like we've learned the alphabet,
Yes.
and now we're going to
Exactly.
start forming sentences.
We're going to explore the nuances of feelings and needs
Yeah.
and how to identify them and how to express them, which is essential for really connecting with ourselves and others.
Exactly. And to understand how important this is, get this, even teachers
Right.
who you would think would be pros at understanding emotion
You would think.
often lack this skill.
Yeah. It's shocking.
One of our sources, a lecture by Marshall Rosenberg, talks about how some teachers never even considered that judging students as good or bad
Right.
wasn't the only way.
It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It is.
Like, why have we all
Why
been
were we stuck in this
stuck in this rut?
binary of good or bad?
Right.
There's so much more nuance to human behavior.
It's very ingrained in our society.
It is.
We're often conditioned to suppress feelings, particularly those deemed negative, because it makes us easier to control.
Right. If you can get people
Yes.
to just kind of shut down their feelings and just kind of go along with the program, then you don't have as much
Yeah.
pushback,
It comes at a cost, right?
Yes.
That suppression comes at a cost. It hinders genuine connection.
Like, imagine trying to build a house
Yeah.
without understanding the properties of the materials.
Oh.
You're probably going to end up with a structure that's not that stable
Hmm.
and ultimately might collapse. Feelings are the building blocks of our inner world. And without understanding them, our relationships can also crumble.
Absolutely. And that's why Rosenberg emphasizes this idea of feelings literacy.
Right.
He even provides a list of core feeling words just to help us start building our emotional vocabulary.
It's like sadness, fear, anger. Like,
Right.
these aren't complex emotions,
Right.
like misunderstood or abandoned,
Yeah.
but just like the basic building blocks, the
Yeah.
fundamentals
Right.
of our emotional experience.
Yeah, it's like learning the primary colors
Yeah,
before you
it's-
can mix them
Right.
to create a whole spectrum of shades.
Yeah. And you know, I used to confuse thoughts with feelings
Oh, yeah, me too.
all the time.
All the time. Remember that time I told my partner I felt unheard?
I remember that.
During an argument.
And we had a good laugh about it later.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
But I realized unheard wasn't a feeling,
It's not a feeling.
but a thought.
It's a judgment about the situation.
And the real feeling lurking beneath that.
Yeah. What was the actual feeling?
It was probably sadness or frustration.
Probably.
Right. And once I could actually identify that feeling, the conversation shifted
Like night and day.
from blame
Yeah.
to understanding.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the power of expanding your emotional vocabulary.
It is.
It allows for clearer communication and deeper self-awareness.
It's like upgrading from a blurry black and white TV to a high-def color screen.
Yes.
You're suddenly seeing the full spectrum of what's going on.
Now, feelings literacy is just one piece of the puzzle.
It is.
The other crucial aspect is needs literacy.
Oh, yes.
Okay, needs literacy, what's that all about?
Well, Rosenberg argues that all humans, regardless of background or culture, share the same fundamental needs.
So,
It's how we go about meeting those needs that creates the diversity and, let's be honest, the conflict
yeah.
in the world. He tells this fascinating story about working with a Malaysian interpreter who had no word for judgment in his language.
What?
No word for judgment.
Whoa. Think about that.
That's incredible. What does that even mean?
It challenges our entire worldview, doesn't it?
It does.
It suggests that judgment isn't an inherent human trait, but a learned behavior, a
Oh,
cultural construct.
wow.
This realization is incredibly liberating
It is.
because it implies that we can choose to communicate differently.
We can choose.
We can choose giraffe over jackal.
Giraffe over jackal, right?
Right.
So how does this needs literacy thing work in practice?
Right.
Like, say someone's acting in a way that I find annoying. How do I figure out their unmet need?
That's where the real learning begins.
Yeah.
It's about shifting from seeing their behavior as an attack on you to recognizing it as a clumsy attempt to communicate a need. Think of it like this. Someone cutting you off in traffic might be driven by a need for speed or efficiency.
Interesting. So instead of labeling them a jerk,
Right.
I could consider that maybe they're rushing to the hospital
Maybe.
or have a tight deadline. Exactly.
It's not about excusing bad behavior,
No.
but about understanding the motivation behind it.
Exactly.
What are some other examples of universal needs?
Well, there's the need for safety, connection, autonomy, meaning the list goes on.
Okay.
Let's say you have a coworker who constantly interrupts you in meetings.
Hmm.
What need might be driving that behavior?
Maybe they have a strong need to be heard,
Maybe.
to feel like their contributions are valued.
It could be.
Or perhaps they're anxious and seeking reassurance
Right.
or clarity.
Exactly.
Or imagine a friend who frequently cancels plans.
Right.
Could it be that they need more downtime or have a strong need for autonomy?
It could be.
Right? Suddenly their flaky behavior makes more sense.
Right.
This needs-based perspective seems like it would make me way less judgmental
Yeah.
and more understanding in general.
Exactly.
What about my own needs, though? How does being aware of them help me?
That's a great question. And it brings us to a key challenge for you, dear listener.
Okay.
Take a moment to reflect. Okay.
What are your top 3 needs right now?
What are you longing for? What feels essential to your well-being in this very moment?
Yes.
And how does knowing this change how you view your interactions?
How does
Does it
that
help? Does it make you more understanding
Right.
of your own quirks and the quirks of others?
Hold on to those questions
Oh, okay.
as we move into the fun part, translating Jackal to Giraffe.
Okay.
To help us,
Yeah.
we've invited a special guest,
A special guest,
Mr. Pancakes.
Mr. Pancakes.
The cat.
The cat. Now, Mr. Pancakes isn't a real cat.
He's not a real cat.
He's more like a metaphor, a stand-in for that judgmental voice we all have lurking inside.
Yeah.
The one that loves to complain and criticize.
Right.
You know?
He's quite the character.
Oh, he is.
You'll be playing the role of Mr. Pancakes, voicing those Jackal pronouncements
I've been practicing.
that we all know so well.
I've been practicing my Jackal meow.
Get ready, because Mr. Pancakes is about to unleash some classic judgmental phrases.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Your mission, dear listener, is to play along with us.
Yeah.
Try to guess the unmet need
Mm-hmm.
hiding behind each of Mr. Pancake's complaints.
I'll be your giraffe translator,
You got it.
helping to decode Mr. Pancake's pronouncements.
Right.
And reveal the heart longing beneath his prickly exterior.
Oh.
Remember, even the harshest criticism can be a clumsy attempt to communicate a need. Can you hear it?
Can you hear it okay enough for the introductions?
Okay, let's go.
Let the Jackal to Giraffe translation begin.
All right, Mr. Pancakes, take it away. What Jackal pronouncements do you have for us today?
Why are you always on your phone? It's like you don't even want to talk to me.
I hear a need for connection and quality time. Perhaps Mr. Pancakes is feeling a bit lonely and is longing for some face-to-face interaction.
He wants to feel valued
Yes,
and prioritized.
exactly.
That's pretty good. You're starting to understand the mind of a feline. Okay, here's another one. You never feed me on time.
Oh, don't you know I have a sensitive stomach?
Let's see. This one sounds like a need for regularity and perhaps a bit of a need for care and consideration. Mr. Pancakes might be feeling anxious about his meals
Yeah.
and needs a predictable routine
Right.
to feel safe and secure.
Okay, last one from Mr. Pancakes today. You always leave the blinds open. The sun is in my eyes, don't you know? Cats needs their beauty sleep.
Sounds like a need for rest and a comfortable environment. Mr. Pancakes might be feeling overstimulated by the sunlight and needs a calm, dimly lit space to truly relax and recharge.
Wow, you're really getting the hang of this giraffe translation.
I bet our listener is too.
It's amazing how a simple shift in perspective can reveal the needs hidden beneath even the most annoying complaints. But let's be honest, sometimes those Jackal pronouncements can be a lot more intense than Mr. Pancake's meows. Absolutely. Real-life Jackal pronouncements can be hurtful and challenging to navigate. That's why it's important to practice translating them into Giraffe. It's like learning to read between the lines and see the vulnerability beneath the anger, the sadness behind the criticism.
So how can we practice this in a way that feels a bit more real world than chatting with Mr. Pancakes?
Well, I have an idea for a memory game that might help us.
Okay.
It's about training our giraffe ears to quickly recognize the feelings and needs being expressed, even when they're masked by Jackal language. Are you game?
I love a good game. Let's do it.
All right, here's how it works. I'll present a challenging scenario, a common situation where Jackal language tends to run wild.
Okay.
Your job is to respond in Giraffe, focusing on the feelings and needs of everyone involved.
Sounds like a plan. Hit me with your first scenario.
Okay, picture this. You're at the grocery store, and the person in front of you has a cart overflowing with items.
Oh.
They're taking forever to unload their groceries onto the conveyor belt, and the line behind you is getting longer and longer.
Bro.
You're already late for an appointment. What's your Giraffe response?
This is a tough one. My initial Jackal reaction would be to sigh dramatically and roll my eyes. But let's see, I'm feeling impatient and stressed because I need to get to my appointment on time. Maybe the person in front of me is feeling overwhelmed or flustered because they have a lot to manage.
Excellent. You're already tapping into those giraffe ears.
Instead of huffing and puffing, I could try saying something like, "Wow, you have quite a lot of groceries. It looks like you're having a busy day. I'm a bit pressed for time, but I'm happy to wait patiently while you get everything sorted."
That's a fantastic giraffe response. You acknowledged their situation, expressed your own need without blaming them, and offered a kind and patient solution.
What do you think, listener? How would you handle this situation? There are so many possibilities when you start thinking in terms of feelings and needs.
Absolutely. It's about moving beyond the surface level judgments and connecting with the human experience beneath the behavior, ready for another scenario.
Bring it on, my draft brain is ready for a workout.
All right, this one is a bit closer to home. Imagine you're having dinner with your family, and your teenager is glued to their phone, barely engaging in the conversation. You're feeling ignored and frustrated. How do you approach this situation with giraffe ears?
This is so relatable. I think a lot of parents struggle with this. My Jackal brain wants to yell, "Put the phone away. You're being rude." But I know that wouldn't be helpful. Let's see. I'm feeling sad and disconnected because I need to feel close to my family and have meaningful conversations with them.
That's a great start. You've identified your own feelings and needs. Now, what about your teenager? What might be going on for them?
Well, maybe they're feeling anxious about something at school or overwhelmed by social media, or maybe they're just bored with our adult conversations and need a break.
Those are all valid possibilities now. How can you express your needs in a way that invites connection rather than creating more distance?
Instead of criticizing their phone use, I could try saying something like, "Hey, I'm noticing you're on your phone a lot tonight. I'm feeling a bit sad because I miss connecting with you. Would you be willing to put it away for a little while so we can chat?"
That's a beautiful giraffe response. You expressed your feelings and needs vulnerably and made a clear request without resorting to blame or judgment.
It's amazing how simply naming the feeling and the need can shift the energy of a situation. It takes practice. But I'm starting to see how this giraffe language can transform my relationships.
And that's the key, isn't it? Practice, the more we engage in these jackal to giraffe translations, the more fluent we become in the language of empathy.
It's like learning any new language. At first, it feels awkward and unfamiliar, but with consistent effort, it starts to flow naturally, and the rewards are immense.
Absolutely. It opens up a whole new world of connection and understanding. Speaking of practice, I have another memory game for us this time with a twist. We're going to bring back Mr. Pancakes for a little role-playing action, ready to channel your inner feline once again.
You know, Mr. Pancakes is always up for a challenge, especially if it involves translating Jackal into Giraffe. What kind of scenario do you have in mind?
All right, for this round, we're going to step into a specific scenario. Imagine Mr. Pancakes has had a long day. He's napped in every sunny spot, chased dust bunnies, and groomed himself to perfection, but something is just off.
Ooh, I'm sensing some Jackal energy brewing. Let's see if I can tap into Mr. Pancakes' disgruntled mood. You haven't played with me all day. Don't you care about my entertainment needs?
Ah, there it is, the classic cry for attention. What I hear in Mr. Pancake's meow is a need for play and connection. He's feeling a bit neglected and is longing for some interactive fun.
Okay, so how would I, as a compassionate and giraffe-speaking human, respond to Mr. Pancake's passive-aggressive meow?
Instead of dismissing his needs or getting defensive, you could acknowledge his feelings and offer a solution. You might say, "Mr. Pancakes, I hear you. You're feeling a bit bored and want to play. I've been busy today, but I'd love to spend some time with you now. How about a little feather wand action?"
That's a great response. It validates his feelings, meets his need for play, and strengthens our bonds. See, listener, even our feline friends can benefit from a bit of giraffe language.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that these principles apply to all our relationships, not just the human ones. And, this role-playing exercise highlights another important aspect of NVC self-empathy.
Self-empathy, what's that all about?
It's about turning those giraffe ears inward and listening to our own feelings and needs with the same compassion and understanding we offer others. Before we can respond to Mr. Pancake's meow with empathy, we need to understand why we might have neglected him in the first place.
That's a great point. Maybe I was feeling stressed and overwhelmed with work and needed some alone time, or perhaps I was engrossed in a book and lost track of time by acknowledging my own needs. I can approach this situation with more clarity and compassion.
Exactly. Self-empathy is the foundation of authentic connection. It allows us to meet our own needs responsibly so we can show up for others with more presence and generosity. It's like putting on our own oxygen mask before assisting others on a plane. We can't give what we don't have.
This is so insightful. It's not just about learning a new way of speaking. It's about cultivating a deeper awareness of ourselves and others. And, as we've been playing these memory games and role-playing with Mr. Pancakes, I've realized that NVC is not just about resolving conflict. It's about enriching all our interactions, even the seemingly mundane ones.
That's such a beautiful observation. It's about bringing more consciousness and intention to every conversation, every encounter. It's about seeing the humanity in everyone, even our furry four-legged companions.
And you know what? I think we've given our listener a lot to chew on today. This giraffe language is powerful stuff. It's going to take practice, but I'm feeling inspired to start incorporating it into my daily life.
Me too. It's a lifelong journey of learning and growth, but the rewards are truly worth the effort. And remember, dear listener, you don't have to be perfect at this. Just start small, be curious, and allow yourself to make mistakes along the way.
That's the beauty of it. It's a process, not a destination. And who knows, maybe with enough practice, we can all create a world where giraffe becomes the language of choice. A world where empathy and understanding pave the way for more peaceful and fulfilling relationships.
What a beautiful vision, and I have a feeling Mr. Pancakes would approve. He might even purr with delight.
On that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into feelings and needs literacy. Thanks for joining us. Go out there and speak giraffe.
The world needs your empathy.
The podcast with Mr. Pancakes.